Hello.
Hello, welcome to Our Time.
We said that beautifully together.
We did,
if
we
you'd
always
done hello
do.
and I'd done hello, we could have got a nice
harmonised.
musical start.
Well, we're getting there, Malcolm.
All right, thank you very much. On this episode, we're going to meet a psychological coach and trainer. Do you know what that is? Ken's here to talk to a friend.
Well, we'll find out.
We certainly will. We also have the great pleasure of welcoming Rachel Sanderson MP, who's the Shadow Minister for Families and Child Protection and 1,000,001 other things. Rachel, it's great to have you with us.
Welcome to the program, Rachel.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite.
We've been talking about you coming on the program for a long time, when we've seen each other at different events. Yeah. And finally, you're here.
Yes.
Rachel, first question, why did you go into politics?
Well, it is a bit of a long story, but as you know, I had my own business.
You did, and perhaps we should explain what that was.
Well, I had a modelling agency and training school, and the aim of that school was to really give people confidence and really teach them not only to become models, as some of them did, but just to be confident in any job that they pursued. And many of them were university students, so confidence and grooming and self-esteem were very important in most of their careers. So I would have been happy running that business for a very long time. However, what I was witnessing over many years was many of my young people, my best and brightest university graduates, all moving out of the state because there were no job opportunities. I was there when Harris Scarfe closed twice and owed myself and my models money, when John Martin's shut down, when Fauldings went interstate. So I watched South Australia go from being in the top 3 as far as population in Australia, having in the top 3 of the top 100 companies and being a really booming state where things were happening, to it all really falling apart before my very eyes. And it got to a point that I couldn't watch it any longer. As much as I loved my models, they were my family, I loved all of my clients and the industry, I could not stand by, not for a minute longer, and watch the state Labor government destroy the state that I loved. And it was really just out of passion. I couldn't not do it. And now I've been in for 6.5 years, and I'm watching more and more bad decisions every day, and it's very frustrating in opposition.
Well, I suppose you've really put your money where your mouth is, though. That's
right.
The point.
You've got 2 choices. You can sit at home and complain about what's happening in your state, or you can get out there and do your best to make a difference. And I thought, well, I'm in a position that I can do that. I thought I had enough background. I was at a good age. I was almost 40. I'd been in business for a long time.
You're more than 40.
Thank you.
I'm serious. I've known you for quite a long time.
Yes.
You know how time stops with people and their faces?
Oh,
I still think of you as being at least 57.
Sorry. Stop it.
No, but
yes, so I figured
right,
I had enough to give my community because I'd been an accountant and a business owner. I've worked in retail, in hospitality, everything, like lots of different areas, cleaning even, that I felt that I had enough life experience, but I also had enough life ahead of me that I could really get in there and make a difference.
How long did it take you, though, from having your own business to get into politics? Did it take you very long?
Well, no. Once I made the decision, I joined the Liberal Party. I'd never been in a party before. Okay. I'd always been a Liberal voter and a Liberal at heart. I believe in freedom. I believe in personal responsibility. I believe in, reward for hard work, and I don't have a problem with people doing well and being successful. So I joined the Liberal Party. They knew why I joined. I joined to be the state member for Adelaide.
Okay.
I was always up front. A lot of people, don't tell you why they're really there, but I stated it. I became their candidate, their endorsed candidate, about 4 or 5 months later, whatever the requirement was, and started campaigning for 18 months while I ran a business full-time, so 50, 60 hours a week. By having your own business, though, it gave me the freedom to go to meetings during the day or in the evening and then come back and lock up at night. We had classes till 9 o'clock 3 nights a week, so I'd go out to functions and then come back and lock up and see all the students off. And I think when you've had your own business, you're used to working very, very long hours, so it wasn't difficult.
It's your life, though, isn't it? It becomes your life.
It does, and this is my new life, and my community, my residents, I see them as my family. And when I have a portfolio responsibility like child protection, should I become the minister, then I have over 3,000 children that would be the guardian of the minister, under the guardianship.
And that's interesting. You were just saying your nighttime reading is reading the report that's currently been released.
Yes, the Royal Commission is a very big document, and I have to not only just skim read it, I need to understand what is in every chapter and how I would fix that should I be in government, because that is my ultimate aim, is to be the minister.
So just on a personal level, do you sit up in bed with glasses on your nose and just take in a couple of pages a night? How does it work for you?
No,
Really?
it's a very heavy, thick book, and it's certainly not something you want to read just before bed. So I've been reading it during the day, in the evening, on a table, but I'm getting a bit of a sore neck from looking down all the time.
Yeah.
And but I like paper. I don't want to read it online. I like highlighting, and
Yeah.
I take it in more if I've read it on physical paper.
I suppose that's also something like our upbringing, because we were taught to read from paper.
That's
our
right.
generation.
I find too, if I sit and look at the computer screen for too long, it sends my eyes funny. I actually can't concentrate on a screen like I can with the book.
That's right. It does. You might end up with a headache if
Well,
you're reading
that's
on a computer all the
yeah.
time.
So do you have a private life anymore?
Well, not too much, not really.
Do all the events that you need to attend, do they sort of take up all those spare moments?
Pretty well. Most, you'd be out at least 4 out of 5 nights in the week, and on the weekend you could have up to 8 functions to attend on a weekend.
Gosh.
Some weekends are quieter, there might only be 1 or 2, but certainly, and I can take a day off here or there, but I don't think I've ever had a 2-day weekend since I've been in politics.
Really?
That would be like a really long holiday.
So politics hopefully will go on for you for a long time. Do you have another dream in life that you want to pursue? Like, what would you do after politics?
Well, my plan is to stay in politics until I retire. This is my end game. This is what I love to do. And I have thousands of ideas and many, many things that I want to achieve for my state. And I think that will take me at least 20 years to get through. If I run out of ideas or I'm no longer useful to my community, well, then I would look at retiring. But I think I'll be around for a long time if I'm lucky enough to be
Would
elected.
you encourage other younger people to come into politics? I mean, obviously you're very passionate about it.
Yes, I think you have
students
to
that
be
you have
passionate.
Coming through your school even.
Yes,
would you
true. I've
encourage
set
them?
up a group called Future Leaders, and I do have a lot of young people that I've met at awards ceremonies, or that were past models of mine, or they're university students, that I've encouraged them to join my Future Leaders group. And often I will send them copies of legislation that particularly affects their age group for them to comment on, particularly when the driving age changed and all the rules around driving. They had a lot to say about that, and they're the people that I need to hear from, because it affects their life. It won't affect me, P plates and L plates. So it is good to have that young group, because you find as a politician, nearly every function I go to, I'm the youngest. Yet the laws we're making, the young people are the ones that will be living with those laws a lot longer.
It takes so long to finally get through, doesn't it? By the time you've done the research, resolved what it is you want to achieve, taken it through both houses, that it becomes something.
Yes.
I just keep thinking, for people sitting at home, you're comfortably sitting at home in a chair, and you're thinking, yes, why don't the politicians do more? But I guess the reality is, if you move too fast, mistakes can be made that really can't afford to be made, like this Royal Commission.
Yes.
Will that solve anything, do you think?
Well, I hope so, but this is the 5th commission or inquiry. We've had endless. We've had Leighton, 2 Mulligans, we've had DeBell, we've had the Nyland report, we've had the coroner's inquest into Chloe Valentine, we've had Baby Ebony, we've had Jared Delray Roberts. We've had so many deaths and inquests and royal commissions that many of the things repeat themselves. We know what's going wrong. It's just frustrating watching this government be inactive, like they're not taking the action.
Is it laziness, or is it just blinkers on the part of the providers, do you think?
I think they're inept. We really need, it's frustrating to watch. Already I've had the portfolio for just over 2 years, and I could implement 100 changes that I had already thought of before the Royal Commission, just from seeing it. You see it and you think, why would they do that? I visited a residential care facility, and there was a child there with cystic fibrosis that was removed from her mother because the mother couldn't deal with the medical requirements because it is intense. So instead of paying for a nurse, you could have a nurse full time. You could even have a chef, you could have meals brought in. Instead, they remove the child from the mother, which is very traumatic for both.
Absolutely.
They put them in a facility with 8-hour carers, and it costs $237,000 a year to give them that traumatic life. It would have been far cheaper to have a nurse
Into the home.
and even have meals provided every day and support the family to stay together. But they can't, they're inflexible, they have rules, and that's the only way they can do
Who
it.
arbitrates over that? Is it a government office or it?
Yes, that's Families
It's got to
SA.
be people that do that.
Well,
so
it's
is
the
it
minister's
changing-
role, really, and the
Right.
government are in charge of the policy, and
But
it's
is
the
it
minister.
changing the people that administer the policy? Because you can only come up with the policy, you can't really be out there making
But you
sure
could
it
say that
happens.
about your own business or anyone
Sure.
in business. If you're the owner, you're ultimately responsible.
ultimately
And if
responsible, you're
you
correct,
need
yes.
to make a change, then you have to see that through, and you have to make sure that your staff, your trainers, whoever it is that's working for you, that is
That it all
implemented.
works. Yes.
You can't
Okay, so
blame.
if you could change one thing, what would it be in the world? There's a,
See,
That's
now
a
I'm
big
seeing
question.
miscongeniality, and I have to say world peace. No, but really,
I like that. but isn't
world
that the
peace?
truth? I mean, all of the nonsense we keep hearing from overseas with politics in a bigger country than ours, it's a bit scary when you look at the way that they're carrying on about gun legislation and so on. We're very lucky here.
We are very lucky in Australia, but we could be a lot luckier in South Australia, and I think we've missed a lot of opportunities. There's been a lot of bad decisions, wrong spending, wrong priorities for our state that have led to children dying, that have led to our homeless dying in the parklands or in car parks or in rivers, that it should not be happening.
Rachel, it's great to talk to you, and we can continue this conversation after.
And we'd like to, but it's just we are short
but
of time.
It's great
Yes,
to also
thank
meet
you.
somebody like you with such a strong passion and really sincere best wishes for
Yes.
the future.
Thank
Lovely
you.
to meet you.
That's
Thank
Rachel Sanderson, who is the MP, the Shadow Minister for Families and Child Protection here in South Australia. So get onto your local MP and see if they have the same passion that Rachel has. And we'll be back in a minute. We're going to find out a bit more about being psychological in training with
okay.
Ken.
I'm being joined now by Susanna Belchiati. She's a psychological coach. She'd have a work cut out with me. Susanna, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Ken. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, you're predominantly, I believe, among other things, tied up at the moment with triathlons. Is that right?
That's right, yes. Ironman triathlon.
Are you a triathlete yourself?
Yes, I am. I've just completed my 7th one in Cairns in North Queensland in June.
Really?
Yes.
So you're pretty fit.
Well, yes.
You'd be a lot fitter than me, I can assure you. How did you get involved in it? Were you always sporting or anything?
I've always enjoyed sport, yes, but I actually travelled over to New Zealand to Lake Taupo with my partner, watched him do an Ironman and absolutely fell in love with the sport.
Not with the Ironman, just the sport generally? Or
I know Ironman, to be honest,
Yeah.
yes, the whole family. Ironman's very, it's not a large community, yeah, so, and it's very much a family atmosphere, and it does actually encompass you a little bit into it.
They're professional Ironmen too, aren't they?
There are, yes. We're nowhere near that, Ken.
You haven't got any
Where were we-
aspirations for that, Susanna?
Oh, look, it would be wonderful, but I need to earn a living, so I'm what they call an age grouper.
Are you?
Yes.
What does that mean exactly?
An age grouper means we pay to go. We have very little chance of winning and recouping any money whatsoever. We simply do it because we love it.
Tell us the events.
Okay, it's a 3.8 kilometre swim, followed by a 180 kilometre bike ride, and then a full marathon at the end, a 42.2k run at the end.
How long a gap do you get in between, a day or two? That'd be good.
No, you try and keep transition down to about 2 or 3 minutes. I'm a bit slow. I'm about
gracious.
5 minutes in transition at the moment. So
Yeah, but you must be pretty fit though. I mean, the
Anybody
swim
can-
would, and the run, and then a marathon.
if you train for it, you can do it. Anybody can do it, and that's not
Anybody?
just anybody. If you
I'd
want to do
challenge
it, if you want to do it, and you don't have any lingering injuries, anybody can do this sport.
How fit are the fittest? I was looking at the Recruiter show on television recently, and some of the Iron women were up against these AFL would-be footballers, and they were quite a bit fitter than them.
It's a different fitness, though. It's an endurance fitness. So
yeah,
we wouldn't be, a lot of us that do the Ironman wouldn't be able to go out and do some hard sprints racing.
They weren't bad, though.
Yeah, but
they're good on the board. They were paddling. The Iron
Oh,
women.
okay.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
so you're talking the surf Iron women? They were on the...
I don't know. I have no idea. You're the expert.
So you've got the Ironman, which is the surf.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Ironman that does the bike, the swim, the bike and the run. So it's the Ironman triathlon or the Ironman in the surf. So there's the two different ones there.
It's a bit confusing for
Sorry
me,
about
but
that,
never
Ken.
mind. Now, you did say anybody with the right mindset can
That's
go
right.
into this. Now, this is where you actually come into it, isn't it?
It is. We have a fantastic closed group on Facebook of over 18,000 women, and it's a fantastically supportive group.
Any age group? I'm just interrupting there.
No.
So what are we looking at?
16, I think, probably 15, 16. And I know that one of the oldest women to do an Ironman is 84.
Wow.
She's actually a nun. And she didn't get into the sport until she was about, I could be wrong here, but somewhere around the 55, 56 year age. So
Does she have special dispensation though? Surely at that
no,
age, in
and
her
that's the
80s.
fantastic part about this sport. It's an even playing field. So women don't go first or last. We're all in there together. The course stays the same. We all have the same amount of time to finish it. If we don't finish in the 17-hour time frame, we're disqualified. So it doesn't change male or female. It's a fantastic sport like that.
Where do you come into it with your psychological training, Susanna?
It's allowing people to understand that if they want to do something bad enough, they will be able to do it. Right. So sometimes at the end of a race, I'll have females come up and say, I'd love to do this sport, but I just can't do it. And when you start delving into why they can't do it, they'll start talking about things like, I can't justify the time away from my family, or I can't justify spending that type of money, And it's quite interesting because as I delve into that a little bit more and find out who they're there supporting, they're often supporting their male counterpart. Now, that's not having any disrespect to that male counterpart.
It's just a fact, isn't it?
It's just a fact.
Yeah.
But somehow the male counterpart has developed the mindset that I can justify spending this time on myself. I can justify spending this money. And for some reason, it's not quite so with the female mindset all the time.
So this is what you try to,
you
try to help them with altering their mindset.
A little bit. Yeah.
Is that with the actual eventing as well?
It can be. I have a lot of women that will come to me and they'll say, I'm just too scared to do the sport. Because there is that fear factor, especially when you're jumping in the water. When we get to saying you know a lot, Ken, and you told me that you don't know a lot about this, so sorry about that. But when we're at Busselton in WA, for example, we swim straight out to the end of the jetty, and then turn around and come back in again. So you're talking, nearly 2 kilometres out into the middle of the ocean. And there is that fear factor. And sometimes it's just allowing people to recognise that they are scared, and that's what they're swimming with, that fear.
And you can hopefully help them
Sometimes you can't overcome it. You just have to give yourself permission to do it with the fear, and you will naturally start to overcome that.
You mentioned you were recently up in Northern Australia. Is it an expensive sort of a sport?
It is a very expensive sport.
Very
expensive
I'll just
sport,
turn out of this one then. Turn off.
By the time we buy our bike and many pairs of sand shoes throughout the year, and obviously the registration and the accommodation and the flights, it's a very expensive sport.
Wouldn't it be easy to go to a resort and have a holiday?
No, that'd be boring.
What sort of price are we looking at for you? I mean, what do the bikes cost?
Oh, well, you can start at around a $3,500 bike.
Saddle.
Yeah, it's got to be light, and the lighter the frame the person is, it's preferable that the bike is light framed as well. So, and the lighter the frame, the more expensive the bike. So, but there's $10,000, $15,000 bikes out there.
And some of them they have an unfair advantage, wouldn't they?
They do, yes.
So there's no handicap system for the people with the flash bikes?
No. No, there
Should
isn't.
be.
But we've seen people out there that have been on very inexpensive bikes, very heavy bikes, and they've still won. So if you've got it, within yourself,
Yeah.
you are going to succeed in the sport. Yeah.
Well, it's been most enlightening and interesting talking. I was very keen there for a moment.
Oh, you're going to join one?
Well, look,
We've got Busso coming up.
Till I found out how much it was going to cost, and I think I'll just take a backward step, Suzanne.
Maybe you could get a sponsorship from somebody.
Oh, I doubt it
There
very
you go.
much. If people want to know more, I'm sure there are many ways of finding out how to find out more, but we've enjoyed talking with a psychological coach, Susanna Belchiati.
So, Janice, would you be a politician?
Sometimes I think I'd like to be. Then I think, no, you'd have to be dealing with politicians all the time. So
Actually,
probably not.
it would be difficult because everyone's sort of pushing and pulling, and clearly with the Reconciliation Week with the Aboriginal community, we have a special story that Lavette has organised for
Our
us.
lovely Lavette.
So here she is, Lavette.
Our history, our story, our future. This year marks the 19 years of celebrating reconciliation in Australia. I'm so glad to be part of this wonderful event. So why don't you come along with me and hear from Australians what this reconciliation means to them.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you all good? My name is Jalen, second born in Mount New Church, and I'm a proud Ghana and Naranga man. On behalf of the Ghana people, I would like to say welcome to Ghana country, my dear brothers and sisters. I would also like to thank the Reconciliation SA who has given me the opportunity to do this welcome to country, as it gives me a chance to use my language as much as possible, and this makes our elders proud to hear their mother tongue again. Thank you.
So my speech was really talking about constitutional reform and recognition for our First Peoples in Australia, how the Constitution affects us, because a lot of people, know what a Constitution is and generally what it does, but when you actually highlight to them, specific sections which allow for discrimination and allow for people's vote not to be counted, people are actually surprised that that's written into our constitution. And we're just myself, as on behalf of the Recognise campaign and as part of the Recognise campaign, we're just talking about the referendum coming up potentially next year that will seek to correct what we feel are problems with the constitution.
I'm here today representing thousands of young Australians, and we are demanding to be recognised. I'm one of 8 recognised youth ambassadors in South Australia, and we are advocating for Indigenous rights in a national conversation about recognition. My voice, along with many others, will contribute to a conversation that will become a turning point in the reconciliation of our nation. Our generation is ready for change. Recognise me, and allow my soul to be given back to my body, and only then will the relationship I have with the lands and the waters become recognised and legitimised. Recognise us, because only together can we make lasting change for the future generations of Australia. Thank you.
As a youth, as a young person, I feel like we're constantly told that a lot of things happen in the past and they happened a long time in the past, and that's not strictly true. There is living memory. I've spoken to people who are members of the Stolen Generation themselves or children of Stolen Generations members, and it's poignant and it's now, and I think saying sorry is the first step in many steps that need to be taken to really heal a lot of wounds and really unify Australia under, one nation of many peoples. And I think that's what it means to me. I would like to just see a more, more respectful, not necessarily integrated, but, more cohesive group of people that call themselves Australian.
How educated are you about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and culture? Are we doing enough to spread awareness and understanding of reconciliation in Australia? Well, you can start by finding out more on Uni SA Reconciliation Action Plan online, and also get involved with organisations such as AIM and Recognise campaign.
Thanks, Lavette. Great to see her on a program again.
Yes, we love Lavette.
And Rachel, thank you so much for coming in today. It was lovely to talk to you, and hopefully people watching really get to understand what a politician's life is.
Yes, it is different from what most people expect.
Yes.
Busy life.
Busy.
And I have had the pleasure of talking with Suzanne, who has told me about how to get fit, how to get physical, and how to use my brains.
That'll never happen. People that walk around on the golf course just hitting the ball into a hole, I'm not sure about that.
I can't even do that.
Well, you try.
I've heard that.
Very trying.
Well, we'd love you to join us next time on Our Time. And don't forget, you can find out more about the program on Facebook and on YouTube.
Look forward
See
to
you
your
next time.
company
Bye.
then. Bye.